2. We are live, episode 22, the No One Told Me Hockey Podcast. Jack, what is going on? Big weekend for you.
Huge weekend for me. I accomplished one of my goals that I think we talked about on the New Year's podcast, right?
Let's
I
go.
think
Oh,
that was,
yeah.
you still haven't learned how to play your song or whatever, but I
No,
completed
my
my,
guitar performance was, I've not even been working toward that one.
not even close.
No, not even close.
So over the weekend, as you know, and we've talked about this many times on here before, I did a triathlon on Saturday. A full Olympic
Nice.
triathlon. So it was 0.93 mile swim. For this one, it was a 23-mile bike. Usually it's supposed to be like 3 miles more. And then a 6.2-mile run.
What
So
was the hardest
I
part?
did it.
Wait, I don't know. I don't even know how I want to ask. I
Oh,
have so many
okay.
questions. But I guess
Okay.
you just walk me through it, start to finish.
So you want me to start at the beginning?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I'll start at the beginning because this was fucked. So I'm getting all my stuff together in the morning. It's like 5:30 a.m. Like I'm nervous. I'm like worried about pooping because I'm like, shoot, dude, if I don't poop, I'm gonna get a stomach ache out there. Get that out of my system. I'm leaving the house and I'm by myself and I'm carrying my bags. I'm walking out the door with my bike. I drop my bike on the ground and the back tire is like barely spinning. And I'm like, oh my God. So I go into complete mental midget mode. I like I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna do it when I get there. I'm gonna fix the bike or have someone help me like fix the bike. So on the way there, I throw the bike in the car. Like I'm freaking out the whole way going there. Like I'm flying there. Cause like I'm like, I gotta get there, set up all my stuff in this transition area where like you switch over to each event and stuff. I still have to pump up my tires on my bike. So I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I might not even be able to do this thing. I text my buddy. I'm like, hey, I might need your bike because he lives right by there. I'm like, hey, I might need your bike. He goes, well, it's a mountain bike, so like, sure, but good luck. So
Yeah.
I end up getting there, and this guy next to me, he's got a nice bike, like a couple $1,000 bike. So I'm like, hey, do you know anything about bikes? And he goes, I know a little bit. Like, why? What's up? And he fixes my bike. So that
Oh, what
problem
a good
solved.
guy.
Like,
What was wrong
I
with
don't
it?
know
Do you know
what
what was wrong
happened.
with it?
Like, I don't know. So at first, like maybe I was overanalyzing. The back tire like wasn't spinning. It seemed like, and then I get the bike out of the car at the triathlon, and now the front tire isn't spinning. But I'm like, well, that one has to be like just the brake pads rubbing. Um, so when I get there, the guy fixes the front brake pads, and then the back tire was fine after that. So I was like, okay, I don't know what just happened, but I'm not
Oh,
touching
good
the
that you
bike.
got it
So I
fixed.
just, if it, yeah. So
That
I
would have
got
been
that fixed. So
horrible.
then get on. Oh my God, I was debating whether or not to do it or not. Like if the bike doesn't get fixed, like I'm not doing the triathlon.
Yeah, you'd
Right?
have to sign up for another. You'd
Are
have
you
to sign
done
up for
at that
another one.
point?
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah. Get the
You're
bike
done.
fixed
Yeah,
and
I think
sign
you're
up
done.
for another one.
I'd be done.
I think you're done too. I I'm too big of a mental midget not to be done with that. So then so that's all good. I get all my stuff set up in the transition area. So we're all set for the race. Put on my wetsuit. So I have a wetsuit, right? Like you wear your tri suit, like your triathlon suit that you wear for the whole race. And then you put a wetsuit on over it because the water was like 70 degrees. So it was a little chilly. So throw my wetsuit on and we have to walk to the starting area because it's not, you swim to the transition area. So it's like you have to walk like out on, further out in the lake on a beach to start. So I'm pretty nervous. Like I'm like, shoot, like I've never swam in open water or anything, whatever. I'm using a wetsuit for the first time, like never worn a wetsuit like that before. So I'm like, shit, hopefully I don't chafe. It's like a whole thing. I was nervous, but I got in the water and I went in like the middle of the pack. And next thing you know, like I'm passing people on the swim and I'm like,
Oh,
oh
really?
shit.
Okay,
Like
so you're
I
feeling
feel
good.
pretty, I was like, oh, I feel pretty good on this swim right now. Like my shoulders were getting a little tired. So I would kind of switch up my stroke, like make it a little longer. But I was like, I was moving good. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm doing pretty good. My target was like 40 minutes on the swim. I finished the swim in 31 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So
So the swim was
I was
easy.
pumped about
For
that. Like
the swim was easy.
it, I thought like the swim was like, yeah, in term like I didn't really get that tired on the swim. Towards the end of it, I was like, all right, I want to be out of the water. But overall, like wasn't that hard to swim. So I'm
Oh,
gonna I'm
I
gonna
feel like
give
that would be
myself credit on the.
I feel like that'd be the hard
Go
part
ahead.
for me. I think that would be the hard part.
Well, I had yeah, I had no clue if that was gonna be or not. Like I was up in the air on how hard the swim was gonna be or not. But swim was good, so I get out of the water, transition, take off all my wetsuit, throw on my biking shoes, hop on the bike, and I felt good on the bike the whole way. Like didn't get too tired. Like the uphill ones that we were talking about, um,
Yeah.
those uphill battles, like handled those pretty good. So I finished the bike in an hour and 23 minutes.
Do you
So
know what
it
you're like? Do
wasn't
you know what you were
super
averaging
fast.
for
It wasn't
speed?
slow. Yeah, it was like 15.5 miles an hour.
Oh, that's pretty fast.
So not too bad. What do you think? What do you think my top speed was on the bike?
Well, if there's uphill, there's probably downhill. So I'm assuming 24.
24?
Yeah.
37.
Wow, that's fast.
I
That's
was
really
cooking
fast.
down these hills. Like I was in my lowest gear, like ripping down these hills. Like I was pedaling through the downhills
You weren't
to
worried you're
gain
gonna
some
fall?
like time back. Oh, I was worried the whole way I was gonna fall.
Okay, yeah,
I
that's
was
what I
like,
would be. I'd be
dude,
freaking out.
I was freaking out, low key, like going downhill. But it was also like I felt kind of badass as well, like because there was people
Oh,
going up the hill the opposite way, and I'm buzzing down this hill.
oh, that's awesome.
Like this
So
guy's.
okay, so you finish off. You
So
finish off the 23 miles. That puts you into the run,
mhm.
which
Yeah.
is
So this is where
6.2 or
things
something.
go. Yeah, 6.2 miles, and this is where things start to go downhill quickly.
Oh yeah,
So remember we had this. Remember we had this food debate, right, on what I should
yep.
eat. So
What'd you
okay,
go with?
so I meant to bring. So I meant to bring my food on the bike. Forgot it. Like didn't forgot the food on the bike. So I'm like, okay, well I'm gonna have to eat after the bike, and I'm like, this is dicey. Like I'm feeling pretty good. So I was like debating whether or not I should bring eat or not because I felt fine. And I was like, do I eat? Do I not? And so I was like, I'm gonna eat. I ate. So I had a. You're muted, by the way. You're muted.
Oh, I said good. Good that you
Okay.
eat. Good that you eat. You're 23 miles into after a bike.
I know, but this is where. So I had an Uncrustable Smuckers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
I had I had one of those and a banana, and I'm like, okay, like this should be.
I don't know if I like that combo. I told you no bananas. Crazy.
It tastes no. I don't think the banana was the problem. So I eat
No, it
them, and
was.
then like, no, it wasn't, dude. I ate bananas in between periods all the time, like every game, no problems, no stomach problems ever with that.
Okay,
I'm
so you go.
confident it
So
wasn't
you
the
take.
banana.
You do both of those before you start running or as you're running.
No, I'm running and eating it.
Okay.
So, so peanut butter's getting stuck to my mouth, the roof of my
And you're
mouth.
thirsty. And you're thirsty.
I'm thirsty. But that's not the problem. So I finish it and I'm like, okay, like I feel good. And then like 5 minutes later, my stomach starts to not feel good. And I'm like,
Wait, this is after you
oh
finish the run.
shit.
This is after you
No,
finish the
no,
run.
this is after I finish the food. Finish the food
Oh,
on the
okay, okay,
run.
okay, okay.
So I'm on the run now. I'm only probably not like a mile in now. And I'm like, oh man, my stomach is not feeling good. So this stomach ache starts to build up in my stomach now. For 5 miles, I had a stomach ache.
Like how
And
bad?
I'm
One to
talking
ten.
like a stomach. Mm, it was one where like if I would have went to the bathroom, I would have unleashed on the toilet
Okay.
like right
Okay.
away,
So it was
like
bad. Yeah,
ASAP. So
yeah,
it's like there, it's there,
yeah.
it's
Okay.
there. So now I have this stomach ache for like I'll say 4.5 miles. I have a stomach ache. So
Okay.
I'm going in between running and walking now on the first lap, there's 2 laps. I'm walking, running, walking, running. I ran a lot of it, but I walked a decent amount of it too. On the second lap, the stomach ache sets in even harder. I almost walked the whole second lap, dude. I couldn't even run. It was
Wait, but how
terrible.
big are the laps? How big are the laps?
Each one is 3.1 miles.
Each lap is
There's
3.1
two.
miles. So you're
Yeah,
doing
it's
2
around like a
laps.
lake.
Okay.
It's around the lake. So like
Okay.
on the first lap, I was coming towards the finish line area. I still had another lap, but that's the only place where porta potties are. And I'm like, shit, do I go to the bathroom now or do I just stick
And
it out?
how
Like,
quick are you? How quick are you running this? Like, what's your average mile? Like 11?
so it ended up being 11-minute mile average,
Okay. Okay. Which
11:30.
is okay. Okay. That's
But
exactly what I would do. Probably around there.
but that was total like averaged out.
Okay.
But I ended up pretty much walking almost the whole second lap, so 3.1 miles. It was terrible. And then of course
It's
when I
probably a
got to the towards the
combination. It's
finish line,
probably not just the food.
I know, I don't know, but like I think it was like like because as soon as I ate that, like 5 minutes later, like downhill, like I felt pretty good before that when I was getting off the bike. So
You
I
ever hear
don't
of something
know.
called?
I don't
You ever
know.
hear of runner's gut? You ever hear of runner's
Yeah,
gut?
my mom, like after the triathlon, she was looking it up and stuff,
Yeah,
and
runner's
she
gut.
brought that up. So it could have been that too.
There was a period of time in college where I wouldn't eat enough, like with before practice, and I
Hmm.
would get the worst stomach aches. And then I kind of like looked it up, and they were like, "Yeah, if you're like burning so much, like you just get like the brutal pains."
I mean, it definitely could have been that because, like, I know, like on the bike, I burned like 1,000 calories. Like on the swim, I burned like 800. So like, I'm up there in calories. So I don't know, but as soon as I get into eyesight of like people at the finish line, I run. I started
Yeah.
running.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, I finished like I finished
Are
on
there
a
people
run,
behind you
but
still? Are there people behind you?
I finished 64th out of 119 people.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which given that I walked almost the whole run, like I walked probably over half of it, I think. Like
Yeah.
if I would have ran that, I think I would have came in a lot higher, maybe in the 40s,
Yeah.
because I was getting passed like left and right. Um, but yeah, so then I finished. I literally went across the line. My mom was right there. I gassed her pretty much. I was like, I gotta go take a shit. I went in the porta potty and unleashed in there for like 15 minutes, dude. It was
Oh,
terrible.
it is. I think it's runner's gut. It's definitely runner's gut. It's not
It-
the PBJ.
dude, that
What'd you eat for
jelly, man. I
breakfast?
think
What'd you eat for breakfast?
I had 2 eggs, um, yogurt, fruit, and a piece of toast with
Could have
honey
been the
on it.
yogurt too. Could have been the yogurt.
But I'm pretty good with yogurt like before a workout. There's certain foods I know I'm not good with before a workout, but like a yogurt I'm usually pretty good with. So
Damn.
I
But at
don't
least
know,
you
but
finished it. Did
but
it
I
feel good?
yeah, it felt good to be done with the training because like I wasn't
Good.
too keen on the training. Like it's just boring. Like the training was
Yeah.
just boring. But during it, like I had a lot of fun actually doing the rate or the swim and the bike. They have these things called aqua bikes where it's just the swim and the bike. I would do something like that. I don't know if I'd do the run.
Yeah, do the
I'm
run
not
again.
that much into running. Yeah.
Speaking of running,
So it was cool
I
though.
wanted to save
Go
this for
ahead.
you. I started a little fitness
Hmm.
challenge. I'm now 3 days into
Ooh.
I'm 3 days into a
What
5K
is
a
it?
day for 5K a day for 30 days.
So that's 3.1 miles a day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
A day? Every day?
Yeah. So I'm 3 in a row
How,
right now. I'm feeling pretty
how,
good. I actually felt great today.
how long are you going to do it for?
I'm looking to do 30 days and that's it.
Okay. Wait, are you going to Orange Theory or no?
No. No, 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 no.
Okay,
Not
not
down
when you're
here.
at home. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good challenge. Have you been able to run the whole thing consecutively or are you taking breaks?
So the day one I felt great because I hadn't done any physical activity for 5 days because other than the keys. So like
Oh,
I just
yeah.
felt like
Yeah. Yeah.
really rested. So day one
Hmm.
felt great. Day two, it was harder, I thought. I did run it straight,
Uh-huh.
but a lot harder. And then
That's
today
good.
I surprisingly felt pretty good. So I'm feeling pretty good. It's not too bad. It's like 30 minutes of running,
D-
like 35 minutes of running.
day two is that sophomore slump.
Yes,
You're all
exactly.
excited for freshman year, sophomore. Yeah,
100%.
that's good. That I don't three. I mean, running consecutively 3.1 miles, like it's actually kind of challenging,
It hurts my knees like
especially if,
crazy, but
yeah,
it is what it
yeah,
is.
yeah. Plus, you're in the Florida heat, man. You're battling. You got to get out there early. You got to get out there
I did a
early.
little weight. I did a little weigh in before today and after.
Uh huh.
I lost 5 pounds running.
Actually,
Swear to God,
oh, you're probably sweating so much out there
dude,
in that heat.
crazy. There was one length. I told my dad there was one length where the sun was literally just like in my face, and I was like, oh my God, just eating it for like 20 minutes.
That's not good for that skin. That is not good for
No,
that skin.
no, I had to change up my music and everything.
Oh yeah, you're a music guy. You're a music guy. So that's a great challenge actually. 30 days. I'll be you know when it gets tough, stuff like that, the weekends. If you
Yeah,
get
I
busy
can
on a
see it.
weekend and stuff, that's where it's like you got to find a way just to do it. Get it. It's only 30 minutes, right? Like
Yeah,
even though you might not want to,
100%,
it's like, oh, yeah. I think the
100%.
weekends like same with the triathlon, like for training purposes, the weekend was the hardest to get up and
Yeah,
like
because you got other
do it.
things. You want to rest. You got work coming up.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm actually joining a CrossFit gym now though.
Oh, you were telling me about that. Have you done one yet? Have you
Yeah.
done one yet?
Have I ever done a CrossFit like
No,
class
no,
or
like
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 here?
at this spot.
Oh no, no, no. I'm gonna go I think I'm gonna go this weekend. Test out the day, like on Sunday or something. So
That'd be
we'll
fun.
see.
I think it'll be fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
be
I
something
have
new. Be
no like
better to get
my
out of the triathlon.
yeah. My strength like that, like in terms of like pull ups and stuff, like brutal. I have no strength like that.
Oh, not
Do
not
you?
for me
Do you?
right now. I haven't touched a
No.
barbell since college.
Yeah, me neither.
Not interested in doing that right
Me
now.
neither. Me neither. So I'm gonna go with the lightweights on that. But all right, I want to get your thoughts on this. This is a big weekend for you guys in Florida.
Let's
What are
go.
your
Two.
predictions on? Oh, two. Yeah,
Well,
you got a
the
big.
heater on right. The heater on right
Yeah.
now. The game started at
Yeah.
8:30.
Right.
And then the Panthers, we got two. I'm a little worried about the Heat because the Nuggets are pretty good.
Nuggets are good.
Yeah, but I'm feeling good about the Cats.
What? Okay,
Feeling
so
really good.
let's get into the cats here. What's your predictions here on the series?
So I just want to say first off, I
Mhm.
could not have been in a better spot to watch the game on Wednesday night. So they're up 3-0. I was in Key West at my old teammate's wedding,
Yeah. Yeah.
sitting at like a Florida Panthers themed restaurant. Like it was crazy. Like everybody was
Oh,
Florida
really?
Panthers.
Oh, those are the
So
best, dude. Those are so
oh,
sweet.
so I'm sitting like right in front of a TV. They get the power play at the end. All my friends like know I'm a Panthers fan, so everybody's like kind of going nuts. And then they
Hmm.
score. We went crazy. Like everybody's screaming, high fiving each other. So that was really cool.
That's sick.
And
That's
then
cool.
uh
Real quick, where is Key West in relation to, like Miami or wherever, Hollywood, Florida, wherever the Panthers play out of? I
it's
know we don't
actually
play out of
crazy.
Miami, but
In relation to where the Panthers are, it's about
yeah.
4.5 hours south.
Okay.
So like
Okay. So
in
it's
order
way
to
down there.
Key West is literally in the middle of it's like kind of in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, like middle south. It like runs all the way around the bottom. So
Mm,
some guys didn't even
okay.
know that. Some guys didn't even know that coming to the wedding,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Where are we?" I was like, "We're literally going in the middle of the ocean. Like that's where
Wait,
we
is it
are."
an island? Is it an
Yeah,
island?
yeah,
Oh, it is. Oh, I didn't
yeah.
know
The
that.
keys are all islands. There's like they're all
Can
different
you
types
take
of
a
keys.
bridge to get over there?
Yeah, it's called. Well, there's a bunch of bridges. It took me 8 hours to get home because of traffic on Memorial Day, but
Oh,
it's a 160-mile
brutal.
bridge from Key Largo, the first key, all the way to Key West, this last key.
160-mile bridge.
Well, it's one road. It's just one road, and then like some of it's connected to the land, and then some of it's connected to the bridge. Like it's just one
Holy
road.
shit! Dang,
It's awesome.
dang,
It's really
great.
cool. It's really
That's
cool.
cool. That's cool. All right, so let's get back into it. So
So they win.
big series.
We're all excited, and
Mhm.
then the Vegas Dallas matchup we were watching because we wanted to see who the Panthers were going to play. Dallas
Mhm.
ended up winning the next two, which have now
Yeah.
put the Panthers on 10 straight days off without a game.
A lot of
going into
days.
Saturday.
It's a lot of days.
Except they're 6-0 coming off a day off, coming off of 5 straight days off this season.
What about 10? They haven't had that.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot of days, but I mean, if they can stay engaged in like, and obviously you're going to the Stanley Cup Finals. It's not like there's no excitement in the room. There's clearly excitement in the room.
Oh yeah.
I think as long as you can stay engaged in practice, and then like when you get into that game, like when you get into the Stanley Cup game, obviously I've never played a Stanley Cup game, but like emotions are running high, like, you know, you're just so pumped up. Like I think you just got to make sure to get your feet wet and then like kind of just play what you guys, your style. Don't try to do too much now because you're in the Stanley Cup or something, you know?
No, I think, look, they've been playing pretty good. They've beat some good teams. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting for sure.
Have you seen that? Have you seen, I think it was Boston, that I think both of their teams lost to.
Florida, 8 seeds in game 7s
Yeah.
in Boston.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's awesome. That's amazing. That's so cool for that area. How I'm assuming the Miami Heat have a good following down there, right?
Yeah. I would say the Heat and the Panthers
Compared to
and the
the
Dolphins.
Panthers.
Yeah, Panthers are a little bit better now that they're on that little run, but the Heat have a pretty good following. Yeah.
That's cool. This will be good for Florida Panthers. I wonder if this will help their fan base out.
Well, I think it's kind of cool is look at the last Eastern Conference winners. Panthers, Lightning.
Yeah.
Lightning. Florida runs East Coast hockey.
It does. It does. That's actually crazy that, I mean, both of those teams have been, I mean, Tampa's been dominant now for, you know, however many years, and now Florida's been, I mean, they're always in the mix now. So that's pretty cool that they're going going to the Cup. Did you see where the patch is on the jersey?
Yeah, I did see that. But I mean, look, to me it makes sense only because one, you've sold the advertisement on the other side. Two, only 3 players have a letter.
True.
So it looks fine on everybody else's jersey.
True, but I don't know. I'm still indifferent.
I just think only 3 people are wearing a letter. Of course, they showed a picture of that. It looks weird.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
You
There
only
is
have
only 3
of
people
those.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
So
That's
it's not
besides
that
the
weird,
point.
but yeah. But
So what do
it
you-
is a little weird seeing that.
So how many games do you think they're gonna win or lose in?
It's crazy. I kind of think back to that Boston series where we were saying they were done.
Yeah,
But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say
you got to
anything
give me
stupid,
something. You got to give me something.
I don't want to say anything stupid, but Panthers will sweep 4-0.
You just. I don't want to say anything stupid.
I'm all in on the Cats.
You are. I'm going 6 games Vegas.
That's fine. Don't get me started.
Ooh, should we make a bet?
Yeah, what's the bet?
I don't know. Something good though.
All right, I got one for you.
All right.
You got to record yourself running the last mile of the 3 miles on front camera and send it to me.
Okay. That's at least you'll be in your challenge when you send it to me, so that's good.
Yeah.
All right. So, do we want to get into some hockey talk?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, you start us off here.
All right, so I guess one thing that we haven't really talked about, and something that I found super helpful in my career, suggests to a lot of players now, I'm sure, Jack, you've kind of explored this as well, is analyzing your in-game performances. So Did I play good? Did I play bad? How to go about that. So before I kind of share my thoughts on it, I guess I'll ask you, did you do anything special kind of looking back on games, whether it be journaling, kind of reflecting, discussing with teammates? Um, Kind of what are your thoughts on analyzing game performance, home or away?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say this first. Unless you're like an all like strictly offensive forward, like insanely skilled and stuff, I don't think that go basing your performance off of goals or assists and only that is a good way to determine whether you had a good game or not. I think that's actually probably a terrible way to analyze your game, and that's how you can kind of dig yourself into a confidence hole. Lose confidence very quickly. So I'll say that is not a good way to analyze your game performance. In terms of like journaling and stuff like that, I didn't necessarily journal. I did a little bit, but not really. The main person that I went to for that type of stuff was my dad, because he usually gave me pretty honest feedback on different things, whether I wanted to hear it or not. He did a pretty good job at kind of telling me, um, what was what. Some stuff I didn't agree with in terms of how the game was played, but overall, like he did a good job of kind of breaking things down for me. But no, I didn't really I wish I would have talked to more people about it, especially like coaches. Like I wish I would have been more open with them about it, throughout my time, especially in juniors, about like my performance, and kind of maybe setting some goals for me in game to kind of help me, analyze my performance. Because now looking back, like I was so focused on like points and goals and assists that I got wrapped up in that and didn't focus on other important things of the game. So my judgment on a game performance was a little clouded because of those two things. So I wish I would have kind of had some more clear goals for analyzing my game rather than just looking at plus minus goals and assists. So what are your thoughts on it? Because it's a hard thing to juggle in terms of how you're analyzing it, if you're being realistic, and then like building confidence based on how you're doing in a game.
Yeah, 100%. I guess for me, it kind of grew over time. So like early on, I know someone had suggested to me journaling and it worked for me, right? I kind of like write a little bit about the game, kind of what I thought I could do better, things I did good, things I did bad. But
Mm-hmm.
early on, when I first started that, I was writing way too much. Like I was spending too
Mm-hmm.
much time on this post game. Like it's quick
Yeah.
to easy and good to have a quick memory, like to where
Mm-hmm.
like game's over, like move on to the next one. And in junior, I was kind of like thinking too much about each one. So I
Mm-hmm.
did do the journaling or kind of writing, I guess, reflection early on. Um, and then as I kind of got older, I guess I did start looking at some statistics, but not goals and assists, more so like advanced statistics. Like I don't know, on the Instat report, sometimes it does give you like your Corsi, which is like scoring chances for
Mm-hmm.
and things created offensively, things denied defensively, things like that. Um, and
Yeah.
then plus minus, I think a really good one for youth, like youth hockey players, is looking at your plus minus in terms of just a basic stat for like a peewee player to kind of understand what's going
Easy
on.
to
Am I getting scored
track,
on a
like
lot?
easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
I think plus minus for a youth hockey player is very helpful. As you get
Mm-hmm.
older, it kind of is still a good indicator,
Mm-hmm.
but and this is probably a huge but, if you're on the ice for 10 empty net goals, now you're minus 10
Minus
plus
10.
more, but you're actually on the ice, which you're probably playing good. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
What is your
Yeah.
opinion on the plus minus situation?
I think at a very basic level, it's a good indicator. Um, but take it as game to game. Because I think for me, like one thing I struggled with was like I was looking at my plus minus. I was so worried about my plus minus for the whole season, right? So like, and if you're not on that good of a team, you know, those are going to start to add up over time, and like sometimes there's really nothing you can do about it. So I think it's a good basic indicator on what your play and how you're doing, but I think you got to be really conscious of it and remember that like not all those minuses are your fault. Like you might not even have anything to do with that play at all. So you be aware of it and like look at it and maybe learn from it. It can be a good indicator, but also take it with a grain of salt because it doesn't determine it's not your overall determination of how you're playing. And I think for me in juniors, like one thing I did a lot was like I based my whole game, like whether I played good or not, on that and then goals and assists. So like if I went -2 in a game, I could have played really good, but that minus was going to show up on my elite prospects, then a scout was going to see it, and it was like, oh wow, then it's going to look like I played a bad game to them, and so it kind of can spiral out of control, in how you think of it. So I think it's a good indicator, but just be conscious of it, of like it's not everything.
Now, one thing that there's a lot of debate over amongst players, but now as a coach, I find it super helpful is scoring chance plus minus. Do you know a little bit about that? I could talk about that.
Yeah,
Have you ever
talk
come
about it.
across
Talk
that?
about it. No, I haven't.
So, yeah, so scoring chance plus minus being a post game breakdown. So, if I'm watching the film of my team just play, who just played a game, say me, I'm going to use myself as one of the D and Jack as one of the D.
Mm-hmm.
If I am guarding the net front and I have my guy and I'm playing perfect positioning man on man, and Jack gets beat in the corner,
Mm-hmm.
then the winger gets beat, and then the center gets beat, and they get a shot on net, am I at fault as the net front D? Not really. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe secondary. So I would
Maybe,
give on the
maybe.
scoring chance. Yeah, maybe. So I would give the scoring chance minus to the primary person whose error it is that the scoring chance happened from.
Well,
So for
real quick,
example, yeah.
would it be the initial D that like let their guy out of the corner
Well,
that got
here's
beat,
where
or would it be okay? Yeah, because
here's
you
where the
could get.
debate happens, right? Because the center is going to say that's the Jack who got beat, and Jack's going to say no, the center got beat.
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do is you can kind of put a limit on it. Say I'm only going to give it to two, right? I'm not going to go three
Okay.
down the line because then you could put five down the line.
Right.
So
Right.
as a coach, right, you can kind of get an idea, or I can at least get an idea. And as a player, I actually enjoyed it because you kind of do see it's eye opening because you can go -7 scoring chances in a game and be
Mm-hmm.
+2 in the game for real plus minus,
Right.
right? So
Oh
it kind of
yeah. Oh
gives,
yeah. If your goalie saves you a couple times and
yeah,
whatnot, yeah. Right.
yeah. So I think scoring chance plus minus, if you can think back on your game after the fact, maybe you're not getting these, maybe you're watching the game yourself, but if you can think back on the fact and be like, okay, how many scoring chances did I let up? How many scoring chances did I create? That's going
Mm-hmm.
to give you more numbers than just goals against and goals for.
Now, say I'm a defenseman and I get a shot through on net. Does that count as a scoring chance for me?
No. Well, it depends. If the shot through on net, if there's a rebound and then forward has a huge scoring chance, then yeah, you've helped create that scoring chance. But if you just
So
float one on net, then no.
yeah. What about like if I'm a winger, right, and I go out to block the shot and it gets past me? Same thing. Like if there's a big rebound, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is very, very subjective, but it
Oh,
gives
it's
you an
okay.
idea,
Right.
right? It's basically more data points.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
lot more data points.
I was gonna say it sounds subjective, but at the same time, like if you're honest with yourself about those things, it can be a good indicator on your performance and maybe where you're lacking in certain areas. For sure, I can
Yeah.
see where that could be a benefit for sure.
Like I think that one of the things for me, at least that I found helpful with the scoring chance plus minus is it gives you from a defensive standpoint a very easy way to look and see what's going on. Like who's
Mm-hmm.
on there for what. You could have a
Yeah.
D pair that's -3 and they're -12 scoring chances. Then like yeah, something just went wrong. Like they just gave
Right.
up 20 scoring chances.
Mm-hmm. You
So
know, so like obviously for that type of thing, like obviously you and your parent, if you're playing youth hockey, like you and your parent could like kind of track that,
yeah,
kind of in a live setting, maybe your parents tracking it or something. But also like what do you think are some things I'm gonna give you an example right here, but what do you think are some things like in your game, say for like a defenseman, right? Like what are some things that you could that can you hear me? Oh, probably not.
yep,
Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay. So what are some things that you could track, like just very simple things in your game that you could track for like me personally, like for defending, right? Like one thing that I could tell if I was engaged in the game and like was playing good like defensively is like if I was like after the game, I like would remember like actively looking for guys. Say the puck went up to the point, and I like actively found my guy and tracked him back to the net. I was really cognizant about like boxing him out, not letting him get to the net, making sure his stick is not in an area to lift, tip the puck. Like, and there was games where like after the game, I was like, shit, I did a pretty good job at, finding guys tonight and boxing out. And then there's other games where I was just not even into it, like not into it, and guys were getting behind me really easily and stuff. So I think there's other, simple things like that too. Like you can track as long as you can define, what you define as like a good game for you.
Yeah, 100%.
Outside of goal scoring.
Yeah, I'd say from a defensive standpoint, some things that you could look at are how many times am I getting beat back to the net? Right, that would
I
be
think that's
one.
a
Right,
great one. That shows
I
how
would say,
engaged you are, I think.
yeah, I'd say another one. Right, and this is kind of an easy one. Block shots.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. I would say another one is probably stick on puck. Like when I would say stick on puck, I mean the forward's going to shoot it, and you've used your stick to ramp it the other
Mm-hmm.
direction.
Yeah.
So like that motion of like it's almost like deflecting. The
Yep.
term that we used in college was a tick. Like
Yeah.
you get it,
Same.
like your stick on it.
Yep.
So those are, I would say, those are three measurable things. And then for forwards, I'd say, at least one simple one for forward is shots.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's, and then I would say times getting pinned too. Like you don't want
Oh,
to get pinned.
that's a good one. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Also, like one for like a forward, right, is like in terms of maybe like back checking, right? Like
Yeah.
being aware that you're actively picking up a guy, looking around, talking, actively making sure you're on a guy and not just back checking just to say you back checked, right? So I
Yeah.
think
Being on
those
the
are,
right side of the puck.
yeah, yeah. So there's so many different things you could do to analyze your game. But I really think at the end of the day, it's important to get away from overall as a general hockey player. I think it's really important to get away from focusing on goals and assists and maybe trying to find some other measurables in your game that are going to benefit you as a player. Kind of like things we just said, like picking up guys out of the, like tracking, like how well you do at picking up guys out of the corner, how well you're getting in lanes, whether you're a defenseman or winger, or like how you're back checking. So I think there's other measurables that like if you focus on those things and you're playing the right way, and like the other stuff's gonna come. Like you're gonna score, you're gonna get assists and stuff, but those little things like that are what gonna make you stand out like consistently game to game.
Yeah. Like if you're, I mean, you just think simple numbers, right? If your scoring chance plus minus is positive for 10 games straight,
Mm-hmm.
you've helped create a lot of scoring chances. Likely you're going to get some assists, maybe even some goals.
Right, right. They're gonna come regardless. So I think that's super important for especially kids. Like I think when it becomes really important in terms of well, I don't know about now because like kids now, like everything is tracked, right? Like in terms of youth hockey, everyone knows how many goals and assists every youth hockey kid now has. But like when we were growing up, like I did, we never looked at points really until I got to U15, U16. I feel like is when it
Yeah.
really kids really start to focus on it. Um, so I think that's when it becomes really important to kind of get that goal, if I don't score, I didn't play a good game mentality out of your head,
Yeah.
especially at that, once you get to that AAA, U16, and then junior level.
100%. Now, I guess building on this, how would you analyze a practice? Did I do good in a practice? Did I do bad in a practice? How do I even start to look at that? The goals I scored, goals I missed, the
Mm.
plays I messed up. What do you think about that?
I think the first thing that, and we've talked about this before, but I think it's really true. Like the first way I can tell that I'm engaged in practice is if I'm calling for pucks. If I'm actively communicating with teammates, say we're doing a drill and I'm actively communicating with like my D partner in the D zone or like a winger, or I'm calling for an open puck. And I think that's one way that I can tell that I'm really engaged in practice. And if I'm engaged in practice, usually it means I'm playing pretty good. Like usually if my engagement's there, my skill is there as well. So I think
Yep.
that's a big one for me is like being engaged right off the bat. And it can be hard to do sometimes, like if you're going straight from school to practice, you're tired.
Yeah.
But if you can just find that the first 10 minutes, just find a way to be engaged, the rest of the practice will be the same, I think. Um, and then the other thing that I can tell for me, like if I'm having a good practice, is if I'm connecting on passes. Like
Yep.
if I'm making tape to tape passes consistently on guys' tape, not making them catch it behind them or in their feet, and I'm putting them in good areas, making simple passes, not trying to go, these crazy cross ice passes. If I'm making good passes like that, I think that's a good practice for me, and I think everything else falls in line after that. What about you?
I would say, like, sticking to the theme that you were kind of just talking about, passing is my number one.
Mm-hmm.
I think that that's a pretty easy way to tell if you're dialed into a practice. Now, look, you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna miss passes, right? Passes are gonna have bad ice. It's
Yeah.
gonna be floppy, da da da. But your response to those, right? Am I chasing it down? How's my body language, right? Did I call for it in the first place? Was I even open
Mm-hmm.
for it in the first place? Was that guy even open for it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Those are things that are going to be measurable for you when reflecting back on a practice. And I
Mm-hmm.
would say the second thing, right, is like, this is kind of new school, I guess, of me to say, would be like, look back on the practice. Right? Is there one thing that you found that was like really fun? Like, did you enjoy it at all? Because if you're sitting there sulking the entire time, yeah, maybe you did have good passes, but guess what? It doesn't mean anything,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Reflect on
Right.
it afterward, be like, oh, like there was something in there I enjoyed, right? It was good
Mm-hmm.
seeing these guys. It was good doing this drill. I had fun in this drill. We won that
Yeah.
drill, something like that. Um, I think is an effective way to look back at practice as well.
You know what I was just thinking about too, like in practice, obviously you're not in a game, right? So sometimes you can get in this habit where it's like you don't take that extra stride or like take that, lift that stick or something because it's practice. So one way also that I found that I was having like a good practice is like, say we're playing a mini game or we're doing, some drill in the D zone. Like if I'm being cognizant of like, okay, like let's take that extra stride to get, maybe to deny that goal in a mini game or something, like instead of just giving up because it's practice. I think that's a great way that I can tell that I'm engaged in the practice and like, having a good practice is like I'm making sure to like do those little things right, even though it's practice. And it's hard to do for sure, like in practice when you're practicing 4 days a week. It can be tough to take that extra step or something, but I really do think it translates into your gameplay. Like you're gonna do that in a game now because you're doing it in practice.
Something
So,
that something that was suggested by our team sports psychologist in college,
mm-hmm.
and now he's the assistant athletic director there, so he's kind of does both roles. But he had suggested that we write something called good, better, best post practice. So you write down something you did good, something that you need to do better, and then the best thing you did. So it's like two quick sentences each. So like I was good today with communicating, right? I need to be better at making crisp passes. I hit the net every time. That was my best thing. So you kind of you just look at that post practice, done. You look at it pre practice the next time, implement and build on the things that you did well, things that you need to do better, and then you're into the next practice already. And then one other thing I would say is with that, instead of writing down something that you did good and saying you did bad, the better kind of helps you frame into the next practice, right? So it kind of links
Yeah,
together.
yeah. Did you do it? Did you
Yeah,
do it?
I stuck with it for a while. I mean, when you practice,
Mhm.
God, I didn't, every single day for
Yeah, yeah,
however long, you
yeah.
kind of just like mentally start to do it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I think given that there were times where I got into a really good streak of it and was playing really well. So
Mm.
I would say that it was really helpful.
I think with those type of things too, like I think the hardest part with those type of things, like they're really good in theory. It's just like you have to be consistent with them.
Yeah.
Until like you said, maybe you get to a mental point where it's like, okay, mentally you kind of know what's going to set you up for a good practice, what's not, but like I think as like someone maybe in youth hockey or something, like doing those type of things could really help you kind of understand, like because obviously in youth hockey, right, like you get to the rink, you're excited to see your friends, then you hop on the ice, and then you get off, you're hanging with the boys, and then you go home and now you're worried about school or whatever. Like you're not necessarily thinking about that practice at all. You're probably not thinking
Yeah.
about it at all. So like if a youth hockey player can really take a second after practice, which is probably hard for a 13-year-old to do, But if they can take a second to be like, okay, what did I do good out there today? What do I need to do better tomorrow? I think for a kid like that, like whose brain is constantly developing, like just being cognizant of that type of stuff could have huge impacts on how they develop.
No, 100%. And I think that like at the end of the day, right? Like what is making some of these elite hockey players so good, right? You look at the NHL right now. Let's just look at the two teams we got left. One of the best players, and it's not biased that I'm a huge Panthers fan, is Kachuk, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at his skating skill. He is not a great skater. Everybody knows that. He's been public about it too.
Yeah.
But what has allowed him to have over 130 points combined postseason and playoff? There's postseason and regular season.
Mm-hmm.
His ability to kind of think the game and analyze and be in the right spot at the right time and make those little plays, right?
Right.
That takes conscious effort to think, right? And like learn the game, like McDavid, right? The way he sees the game, Gretzky, right? You hear that stuff all the time,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That doesn't come just, well, sometimes it comes naturally, sure. But other times, right, it takes conscious effort. This would be one way to kind of work on that.
Right. Like those guys aren't going through the motions. Like they are
No,
consciously, kind of
yeah, analyzing.
engaged in the game, analyzing it the whole way throughout their whole shift. Then when they get off the ice, they probably still are the whole
Oh,
time, like
100%.
focusing on what worked that shift, what didn't. So when they go out their next shift, they're able to succeed based off of what they just learned from the previous shift. Yeah. They're
Yeah,
constantly analyzing for sure. For sure.
absolutely.
But it's tough to do as like a
Absolutely.
young kid, or you get caught up in a lot of different things, or like we said at the beginning, like if you're analyzing the wrong things in a practice, that could also set you up for maybe not being aware of
Yeah,
what really is important, or your judgment is clouded about your performance based on your certain things that you're analyzing.
yeah. I mean, if you're looking at if you're looking at games based strictly on points,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe you are a stay-at-home D man and you're all upset that you haven't scored a goal in 20 games. Guess what? It doesn't really matter because the
Right.
offensive D man's taking care of that.
Right, and who know, like you might not have gotten scored on, and like or you might have only given up 3 goals in the last 10 games, but you're not even focused on that, and your confidence is in the drain because you haven't scored. But realistically, like you're playing a pretty solid game right now,
Yeah,
So
100%.
yeah. I think one way to kind of, and I wish I would have done this when I was in juniors, or mainly juniors, is like talk to your coach about your game, to nail down like what you're good at in your game, and then come up with ways, whether it's with him or your parents or someone, teammate, on ways that you can have some sort of metric in your game to determine, kind of how you're performing. I think one way to understand your game is you got to talk to people outside of your own head or your parents, because I think parents sometimes can have that clouded judgment too. So talk to people outside of that and figure out what your game is, what you're good at. I think that's huge in terms of being able to analyze your game. You have to know your game first.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. And player awareness, we've talked about that a ton
Mm-hmm.
from the first episode all the way on. So
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
theme kind of sticks together.
yep, absolutely. So that's all I got today, Fletch. Do you have anything else?
I think that's it. I mean, we covered a lot of good stuff about kind
Mm-hmm.
of reviewing your game, reviewing your practices, give you some metrics on kind of how to work on that, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
scoring chance plus minus, right? Counting block shots, things like that.
Yep.
And just learning plus minus as a youth hockey player as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then post practice, kind of reflecting on things that you did good, things that you need to be better at.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's about it for me. Do you have anything else non hockey related?
Non-hockey. Oh, so what are your thoughts about this? So last thing. So we possibly going camping tomorrow night, right?
Oh,
First time, first time camping out in Utah in the wilderness out here. What are what?
I'm not doing that. I'm not even touching that. I'm
No,
like,
you
you
wouldn't
don't.
go.
You're not gonna catch me outside there.
You
Nope.
wouldn't go.
Last time I went camping, I was like 15. I was in Utah. I got sick. It was horrible. It rained. No, thank you.
What about this car camping? So you're out there in the wilderness, but you sleep in your car at night.
I don't know if that's necessary for. Why not just stay in a hotel? Go hike and then stay in a hotel.
Dude, you got to be one with nature.
I'm all set
Come
with
on.
that one. I don't need it.
Now,
Maybe I don't
what
like
would
camping.
you just like you don't like being out there like sleeping on the ground and shit?
No, I think it hurt my back.
Oh, all right. That's what I'm doing this
Yeah,
weekend. I'm going
that's
to
gonna be awesome.
see I'm going to see Quinn on Saturday, the
Oh,
artist.
are
Yep.
you?
Yeah.
Where?
Here at some amphitheater. I'm fired up. One of my
Dude,
favorite. One of my
he's one of
favorites.
my favorites too. I'm
Yeah.
jealous.
Oh, I'm so pumped. I'm
That's gonna be
so excited.
awesome.
I've been listening to
That's
the
gonna
playlist for the set
I
list
know
for
like
the
every
last.
song. I know
No,
like
I
every
do.
song. It's
No,
gonna be
I do.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Or not.
So, no, I know more songs
That's
than
gonna be
you.
great. That's gonna
Yeah,
be great. So does that wrap up episode 22?
it does. That wraps up
Let's
another
go.
banger of an episode.
Love it. Love it.
All
Well,
right.
stay tuned and we will talk to you soon.
See you, buddy. Bye.